we wanted to do something like a little bit different, and so we called up our friend Dale. He's filmed like the Hatebreed video and a couple heavier videos, and we wanted to get a little bit of more of that vibe and a darker vibe, and we wanted to, well, it's a love song. We wanted to kind of get like more of like a stalker vibe to it, and we kind of we crashed our van en route to the place where we were going to film it in New York. We crashed our vans and we shot it in the woods in Detroit instead.
Pete has this move where he tosses his bass around his shoulder, and the first time he did it, it landed on the bridge of my nose, and I played the rest of the show bleeding from my head. That would probably be one of the better war stories for me anyway. It was actually pretty cool. This has happened to me a couple times where I've passed out on stage and somehow I play through. So I wake up in mid-song, so I guess it works out. But it's really funny because you just look down and you're like, oh, I'm bleeding. That's cool. I guess it's a show.
I think Pete's injury is a little worse when we were playing in about the Stitches, and we were playing in St. Louis at this extremely tiny place called the Creepy Crawl. I just like swung my guitar around like as hard as I could, just around my body, and I smashed him in the head, like about right above his eye. And I was like, I didn't really know what happened. And then I guess you can take over what you felt.
I felt the black closing in, kind of like this. It was going in, and the last thing I saw was Joe's face above mine, and he goes, "You ain't gonna be pretty no more, boy." No, that part didn't happen, but the black did close in, and then it went back out.
And then I spit on him, a nice loogie spit.
And I think I dumped all my blood on the front row. The girls in the front row were like, "This is, oh my God."
One time he did one of those spins into my arm and I bled, and some kid actually asked me for my blood.
Yeah, so 5 things that we can't live without on tour. I would say the internet. I need that every single second. If I'm not plugged in, stuff's going on without me knowing about it.
Mm-hmm. Sleep.
iPod and books.
My cell phone, I wait around all day for calls, and I feel like I'm going to die until I get them.
You can be able to compete with all these things coming out in the world, whether they be bands or, great big, marketing schemes or whatever, but you don't have to compete in it, and you can go about your own road, and hopefully people will see the sincerity in that and kind of come along with you on that path. And I would say that that's probably the overall theme of the record more than anything. When I was writing a lot of lyrics, I think they were really dark, and I didn't want this to be just a completely dark black period record, but I also wanted to be honest. There's like these little moments that are lights in the dark of humanity, and you kind of got to hold on to those. So I think that this record has both that kind of darkness and these little lights in the dark, and I think that that's important for you to kind of embrace both.
It starts with this fool writes the lyrics. He'll write a bunch of words, and then
That was hard, by the way.
That was pretty mean.
That was
this
real
fool.
hard. That fool.
This
Give you the mic, and all of a sudden it's chaos.
Yeah, what the f*** is this?
Anyway,
Thank God we bleeped that.
Anyway,
we're not live.
Anyway, well, in case you didn't know, so he writes all the lyrics, and he'll give me a page, and I'll find like a melody or something or a rhythm in it, and I'll kind of construct a basic song, and then I'll take it to everybody, and yeah.
And I'm like Dr. Dre, I throw down the beats.
Yeah.
So you're literally trying to express
Make
yourself.
it pop.
That makes me Cube, right?
Yeah,
because
you're
Cube
Cube.
writes all the words. Yo, Cube's the
You're
best.
Let's change the name of this song so
we wouldn't get sued. What was the title of the song?
It's gonna be called "My Name Is David Ruffin and These Are the Temptations."
Okay.
Kind of on the movie that VH1. I don't know if we have to cut that.
Oh, we'll bleep the crap out of that one.
But it's just a famous story about the Temptations and kind of the megalomania that goes along with some of the members of it. And we were told that we would be sued for using that title.
Oh, that's great.
We like the Temptations.
That's okay.
So come on tour with us, dudes.
We wrote the treatment together with the director, and we wanted to kind of come up with something that was reminiscent of 80s movies that we watched growing up, like 16 Candles. The video is cool because it's got sonic reality, and that's what I like about it. Like the character goes into the bathroom and the sound kind of gets muffled a little bit.
Okay.
And then I like that there's a dance sequence in it, and that I get to see what we all looked like in high school as nerds.
Yeah. And it's
And Joe is gonna win an Oscar for being hilarious.
He's the MVP in the video. We think he's
He really
hilarious.
is.
Thank you.
Very much so.
Yep.
Yep.
It is.
70s
I'm a
Bush.
freaking monkey down there. It's pretty awesome. Not really though.
That's weird.
I just didn't have enough underwear. But I mean, I try to buy it as much as I could at Walmart and stuff.
We did a song called Start Today.
Let's start
and
today.
We thought it was just important because it's a band that we wouldn't be a band without, if that makes any sense.
yeah.
And I think the song was really awesome, and it was a really influential band to all of us, and I don't know, it was great. It's like the only song. It's a song that's from like a different era compared to a lot of the other songs on the soundtrack, but I don't know. It means a lot to us. We just think it's important because I feel like a lot of times bands that actually make it or like kind of are called successful are the bands that come after the ones that were the originators. And I think like bands like Gorilla Biscuits and Quicksand and Lifetime and The Descendants and bands like that are bands that we're speaking for. So it's always important for us to kind of go back and pay homage to them. I think it's just really shocking because you never go into every time we go to play a show, we kind of like, maybe it'll be like this cool or it'll be that cool, but it's always shocking to get the reaction that you get, and our fans are amazing, and like we were goofing around about like the platinum and all this stuff or whatever, but it's all because of our fans, and like that's the only reason we're here. So it's really, I don't know, it kind of gives me chills a little bit.
Since I've been in a band, I've always wanted to have a label that treats artists the way that I think I would want to be treated as an artist, because there's certain things that you're more interested in. Like the artist always wants to have the best video. The artist wants to be able to call somebody at 2 a.m. and be like, why weren't posters up in Omaha, Nebraska? But like with a normal label, I don't think you can really do that, you know, and I think I understand, and you know, Fall Out Boy understands certain other aspects to the, you know, being on the artist side and being used to that kind of. So when a band comes to me and is like, you know, we really want to put cello on this one part, it's going to cost this much more money, you know, I understand that, you know. That was pretty much one of the reasons we started the label, was these guys came and they came on our website and they were saying all kinds of goofy stuff to me, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go listen to this band's demos and I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna make fun of these kids because they're making fun of me on our website. And I went and listened to the demos and I was like, man, we gotta sign this band right now. So we essentially started a record label around, you know, them and Gym Class Heroes.
All right, now you just saw Dance Dance from Fall Out Boy, and we said watch the coach. Now the coach in there is a gentleman named Bob, who has a great job of managing Fall Out Boy, and he was in a band called the Step Kings that Fall Out Boy opened for way back when, but then they broke up, but then they had to reunite?
Well, we made a deal with him that his band would reunite and play with Fall Out Boy if we ever went platinum. And this was back when we were pretty sure Fall Out Boy was not going to go platinum, and so it seemed like a very safe deal of his to make. And our record went platinum, and being that he's a pretty good guy, he came and he opened a show for us over in New Jersey. And right before Fall Out Boy went on, they thought, you know, all the kids were stoked. They were like, here comes Fall Out Boy, you know, this is the usual show. And these guys come out and they're all like scary looking, and all the guys are like, you know, our manager's like 6 foot whatever and bald and looks like, you know, I mean, you see him in the video, that's our manager.
Oh, he's a frightening individual.
Yeah, makes me very nervous. So they played, and it was very interesting to say the least.
What was the crowd reaction?
I hope this is only one song being played. I think that was the general crowd reaction. We definitely bonded with Motion City. We bonded with the Transplants, My Chemical Romance. Academy Is was on there, and they were already our boys, so it was like
great guys.
Secret bonding already. It was great this summer because it was the first time we were on, you know, the entire Warped Tour and on the main stage as well. So I really feel like last year we were kind of like freshmen, and we definitely got, you know, a little bit of the freshman treatment, but, you know, or pledges, and this year we were in the frat.
You're in the frat now, yeah. The Tony Hawk American Wasteland soundtrack.
Awesome.
You guys did Start Today, Gorilla
Start
Biscuits.
Today.
Were you allowed to choose the tune?
We were told we could pick a song, and we wanted to do Gorilla Biscuits. It was really New York hardcore bands like that, and Quicksand we've always talked about. Are bands that really influenced us, and we kept being told that it was the wrong era, and we were like, you know, whatever, we're just gonna cover it anyway. And we got Walter's approval from the band, and after we did the song, they heard it and they were like, this is pretty cool, and they let us do it, so we pushed our way through.
That's really great.
Yeah.
What was that like when Walter actually called and said, I listened to it, this is good?
Absolutely insane, because Gorilla Biscuits was probably what got me through age, you know, 15 to 16, and that's absolutely insane. Like Gorilla Biscuits is my, you know, My Chemical Romance, Taking Back Sunday, Fall Out Boy, Green Day, or whatever, to a lot of what a lot of kids are, you know, going through now. So I mean, if you just imagine that, you know, you get the phone call from, you know, Adam from Taking Back Sunday or Billy Joe, you know, and that's what it was.
I feel the same way about Minor Threat.
It's a quote from Van Gogh, like in a series of letters that he wrote to his brother. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Going all crazy scholarly Dutch on us here, Pete.
Pretty
Kind
deep.
of. Van Gogh's pretty crazy, man. Like he married a hooker and hung out in Paris and
Yeah.
hated life. You know, he did more than just cut his ear off, I guess.
He really did
Yeah.
more than cut his ear off. Yes,
He made a
did.
couple of paintings along the way too.
A couple. There's a museum named after him.
Yeah.
It felt very familiar, but at the same time, I feel like the whole band was more involved this
Right.
time, you know, and that was a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's great.
I mean, I think like to an extent on every record, everyone's had a little help with the writing. But yeah, on this one, everyone got to have even more input than usual, which is cool.
It's kind of a scary step. You feel like you don't own your songs as much anymore, and all of a sudden, like when you go into a radio station, people want to talk about everything except the music, like who are you dating, blah blah blah, like this and that,
Yeah.
you know, like whatever, and like it's everything except the music. But I feel really great. Like I mean, like honestly, we've just kind of looked at Green Day and seen what they've done, and I think it's great for like rock to take over and be played on Top 40 again. I think that's a really cool thing, and
I think like a cool thing about our band though is that we're real dudes and people can see that we're real dudes, and they like, you know, there's not like a thin sheet of paper to see through where it's like, oh, they really suck on the inside, you know. So even if we're moving the Top 40 and people are bummed on it, they can at least see the real
no paper.
real
It's
skin.
real.
usually we have working titles like until the day it goes to press, pretty much, and then like I just sit there and like come up with like a zillion titles. And
Yeah, we never know what the real song titles are until this dude comes up with them like 5 minutes before.
yeah.
We still probably go off like working titles on our set.
What are some of the
on our
working
set
titles?
list.
Car
you-
Crash Hearts is the first song.
Second song, Satisfaction.
Nice.
Just like a lot of stuff, like the working titles are based off kind of like the influences. So like
Influences
Satisfaction was
or,
very
like,
like rolling, like you know, that song's
It's
very
the
Rolling
most simple
Stones.
thing about it, yeah.
Yeah.
We, me and him actually lived really close together in California, and I saw him out, and he was like, "Come over to my house sometime." And I was like, "All right, cool." And then like everybody says that, you know, or whatever. But then he like called me up and was like, "Come over." And I went over, and we had tacos and played board games randomly.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he was like,
What board games do you play with Kanye West?
he's like really into Taboo.
Really?
Yeah.
Patrick and I went out there to Virginia, and you know, he had like a beat, and kind of just Patrick came up with some stuff. I got to play a little drums on it.
Because
It was awesome.
Timlin plays a bit of drums too, right?
Yeah, he played. I mean, he's a musical genius. He's insane. Like just at work, you'd see him like noodle around, and it'd just be, you know, hits.
It's one of the things that every time we put together a tour, it's cool to be able to put together a tour that's all our friends. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing is that, you know, I mean, Jim Class are obviously our buddies, and DeMar from Plain White Tees, I've known that kid since I was like 14.
Yeah, it's gonna be like meatballs, but on tour.
Jim Class Heroes won a VMA. That was like one of the biggest things. For me, just, you know, as a friend to watch him come up.
Right, yeah, we don't really care about that.
We're kind of designing a set that has some depth to it, and it's in general. I mean, I don't know if anyone who's read the book or whatever.
Right.
There's gonna be we're gonna pay homage to that, and you'll see a lot of the Sendek art or our take on it.
not like
Our friend Rob Dobie's take on it. When I was little, I wanted to be Max really badly.
Right.
Like they were like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I was like, "Max," and they're like, "That's another little kid. You can't. No, you have to pick somebody else." I don't know. So it's kind of that mixed with just how funny we think it is with people, you know, all these girls wearing like alcohol monitoring bracelets.
Right.
And, you know, our ode to not wearing underwear when you get out of cars and that kind of thing. the real Young Wild things, you know. Yeah,
That's
it's kind
true.
of funny. Sometimes we want to go back and pretend that thing didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it's like in Back to the Future 2, where he goes back and he makes Biff really rich or whatever. That's kind of how I feel
Yeah,
about it.
I kind of look at it as how you're embarrassed about puberty, and that thing is puberty.
Yeah, you know, old pictures of yourself. Picture that, like, but like your voice. It's kind of weird. And then the other thing is that,
Or having a baby at 14 or 15.
but I still listen to Take
far.
This to Your Grave, and I still love Take This to Your Grave.
Yeah, we
so.
listen to that.
Yeah, we went to Uganda to shoot it, northern Uganda, and Gulu and the surrounding areas around Gulu.
Was it your first time in Africa?
Yes. It's definitely nothing like any of us have ever experienced before.
Gulu, for Uganda, is not a small town. It's the second biggest city in Uganda, but it's like, but compared to like what we have, like it's just so, you know, I mean, you wouldn't know the difference between like
it's weird. It's a completely different experience being in a place like that.
So this video, your budget was a lot lower than on most of your videos, correct?
Well, they're always pretty low, I'll be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, people are always asking us about why there's these cars in these videos or cell phones, and it's because we can't afford to pay for the videos. Everybody thinks we make millions of dollars, but we actually lose money on every video
on all of
we make.
them.
Oh, I feel bad for the rock stars.
No money for the guys that
Feel bad for the dudes in the rock
on
band.
TV.
No, but it was a smaller budget than even usual. So when we went there, we brought a very small crew, and then we hired locally.
Originally, the record was going to come out on November 4th, and obviously there was something bigger going on that day, so we decided to move it. But after promising kids a record on November 4th, and then pushing it back over a month away, we thought it would be cool to kind of do something for that audience, you know. So these little shows, it's kind of the idea, and it's also fun to do this.
And it's where we started at too, and this. You know, like
we played
like
here
this
a bunch of
venue,
times.
North Star Bar, we played here a lot of times.
Yep.
We have an easier time selling out these venues than these venues, actually.
These shows are it's always really natural for us to go between everything. I think I don't really feel like we're a band that I would define as. Yeah, I think there are some bands that definitely are better in an arena or are better in a small club. I think we're just kind of. I mean, I'm most comfortable when we're on stage wherever we are. So
Sometimes it can be an awkward transition when you're just used to doing a small or a larger venue and going back to a smaller venue. But this is where we definitely have the best energy at these smaller club shows. The energy is insane. It doesn't matter like how messy or sloppy you play or whatever happens. You just have fun because everybody's having fun.
Well, we got to tell you about our first tour bus, actually.
Oh man,
oh my goodness, that first tour bus was awesome.
that was awesome.
That was a really good.
We had 15 people in a 13-bunk tour bus.
That was the introduction to Dirty too, right?
At Dirty, and also we had ants and roaches on the tour bus, and only realized that
That was his.
his bunk at the end of the tour.
There was
There was
They
like
were living under his bunk.
there was just like 8 boxes of Pop-Tarts open.
he opened some Pop-Tarts, ate them, and then stuffed them underneath his bed. And then, of course, there's just ants and bugs just engorging this Pop-Tart.
2 + 2 did not equal 4 to that.
The thing that was the worst, and no one's really playing it up, was the toilet broke. So in bus toilets, it's basically a porta potty, and there's a little like latch that holds the like hole closed. And
Oh, yeah, it was open.
That hinge broke, so when
Oh,
we'd be driving,
God.
if you'd stop it, it'd kind of like swing open, right? And the smell would just walk down the whole hallway, and it was so awful.
was
I've
barf.
never been woken up by a smell before.
All the different.
That's not one of my senses that typically will shock me out of deep sleep. But it's a gray area because a lot of the first shows that we played, there wasn't a stage. You know, you're just playing on a floor, and that doesn't feel like anything like, you know, different from being a kid going to a show. You know what I mean? It's like awesome, and like there's no separation or whatever.
And it was all your friends' bands, so
Yeah.
no one's really headlining.
Yeah, everything happens so gradually that you have to reflect on it in order to even notice. You know what I mean? Like I remember being at we were playing Skate and Surf Festival one year, and like by a little snafu, the room was filled. It was like 5,000 people or something, which at the time was the most people we'd ever played to. And I don't think all 5,000 of them were there for us. It was kind of an accident. There was some fire code accident or something. But it was awesome.
But the fire code thing was they couldn't fit any more people in the room, and that was the first time I actually realized that our band did that well out far away from where we were from, because right when the first note hit, the barricade just went and collapsed in.
Yo, one time we were at this truck stop. It was back when we were driving the van, and I had to fill the van up with gas, and I went into this Dunkin' Donuts to get a coffee, and this guy goes, "When are you gonna make another movie?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What am I gonna make?" He's like, "Lord of the Rings." And I was mind blown that I am Elijah Wood. I just found out that day.
You know,
Back then you looked a lot more like
hasn't been
him.
making movies too. That's the other implication there.
Yeah.
He put both of you down, I think.
Yeah.
I had one time where I walk in and I'm paying for my stuff and I didn't have my hat on. I wasn't wearing my signature hat. My hair was fairly long, and And Lay goes, "Will there be anything else, ma'am?" And I didn't pay attention or anything. I was like, "Whatever." And I'm like, "No thanks, whatever." And she like, "I am so sorry. I mean, she made the biggest thing about it. I'm like, we could really make this go a little bit faster. So the new record is called Fully I Do, which is a
dude.
Yes, several dudes made the album Fully I Do, and it's an old psychiatric term from France, obviously, that translates to the shared madness of two, and that's kind of really what it means. It's just when two people have this kind of they kind of share an obsession and insanity, and it gets exponentially greater, and it's untreatable ultimately. And we use it kind of metaphorically. The record's a little bit of a satire about just kind of, I don't know, a lot of selfishness, basically.
The weird thing about that song, first off, is that it's not a single. That was just something that we did just for, I mean, more or less the entire song kind of has its impetus just from artistic reasons or fun reasons, I mean, more or less.
Word.
Oh yeah, hey, we're trying to pass the SATs right now. So it was one of those things where, in the case of like the line that Elvis Costello sings, we thought it was a really important line, and it would kind of get lost in the shuffle if just I sang it, So we kind of had this wish list of people that would give it authority, would lend authority to it, and he was the top of it, and somehow he said yes. I guess that's just the benefit of asking. And then as far as everybody else,
I already wouldn't do it if Gabe's quarter wasn't on that song.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Gabe was the linchpin. So obviously, then we had to work with Gabe. Then we also, but Gabe wouldn't do it unless Travis was on it, and so on and so forth. So that's basically, yeah, it's kind of a joke because on the one hand, the song is so self-deprecating, just desperately sad about yourself, and then at the end we have just all these people, all these friends of ours, friends that we've made through our success and everything, singing our songs, like whatever. So it's kind of, stroking your own ego after, putting yourself down.
Feels so good too.
This is why, by the way, when I was writing this song, when I was writing the lyrics, I was trying to think about Patrick, because I was like, this dude pretty much has achieved so many things, and he's so talented at anything. Like, he picks up a trumpet and knows how to play it. He has a voice that is awesome, but thinks he should play drums instead. Thinks girls don't like him. And it dumbfounded me. Like, I just realized, and I think it took me like 2 records or a while to really kind of at least understand it as much as I could possibly do it. And that's what those lyrics were to me. They were, from Patrick's perspective, as close as I could get.
Well, and so on a personal level, I think it's a really interesting, one of the reasons I like that song is because it's a really unique experience to be in a situation where somebody else speaks for you and accurately, portrays your feelings or your opinion, It's really rare. Usually you have to correct people or whatever.
Thanks.
And so
Thanks.
cheers. So it was one of those things. I think that's one of the reasons why that song reacted so well, I think, with all of us. I think we really did like that. I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think that was one of our favorite songs.
Already done it, dude.